How often have you found yourself staring at a never-ending to-do list? A million items to check off. You know what needs to be done, but for some reason you can't quite bring yourself to do it. It's not that you're incapable. It's just your brain feels like a hamster on a wheel. You can't turn it off. And this isn't just about work. You find yourself doing this at home, the inability to be present with family, with friends, because you're always thinking about what's next. The future belongs to those who have mastered the inner game, who figured out how to handle all that life is throwing at them while still being able to be present. This isn't about being more productive or having better tools. It's about working on what's going on in here. That's the inner game.
Hey, tell me more.
High capacity people are tricky. They seem to have this enviable ability to just get so much done. I'm not tooting my own horn, but I've always been that person. When I was in high school, I was on student government. I was co-captain of the STEP team, captain of the debate team, and I had a part-time job while being a full-time student. In college, I worked 3 jobs, was a full-time student, and found time to play intramural basketball. After college, I went to grad school while working full-time in finance, while being a part-time spoken word artist. I don't know how to sit still and just do one thing. You see, people often think that burnout is because we're doing too much, when in reality, there are studies that show that really people feel burnout because they feel like their work isn't having an impact. Now, that doesn't mean that we should all be high capacity people doing 87 things. Because the truth is, the thing that no one really talks about is that for those high capacity people, eventually they do hit a place of burnout. They do hit a place where they're doing too much. As I sit right now, I've got a lot of things that I'm juggling, and the older I get, the harder it is. I can't stay up as late as I used to. I can't work for as long as I used to. I get tired, but also every yes to every project is a no to something else. And that no, I never want to be my family, to be my kids, to be my wife. High capacity people experience burnout too. Sometimes for the high capacity person, they're still getting the things done. They're still showing up to everything they need to show up to, but it's the rumination, the inability to be present because they're always thinking about what's next. What do I need to do? What's coming up? Or maybe it's the perfectionism. You're doing a bunch of things, but you don't feel like you're doing anything well. You don't feel like you're doing anything right. Or maybe it's the attachment of our identities to success. I am only good if. I am only worthy if. If I was really that good, if I was really who I thought I was, then I'd be paid more. Or maybe it's the chronic self-judgment that so many people live with. The inner voice whispering lies to you, lies that you think are true. You see, high capacity people might look like they have it all together on the surface, but we never know what's going on underneath. Our brains can handle more stress than we realize. What's harder for us is ambiguity. Now throw in a healthy dose of self-criticism, and it's a recipe for inner turmoil. If we are going to thrive in this world, then we need skills. Those skills are what I'm calling your internal operating system. It's the things that are going on inside of you, the gears that are turning inside you that help you to thrive, not just internally, but externally, that help you to thrive not just at work, but at home as well. The first one of those skills is attention control. We live in a hyper-distracted world. There is constant dinging and pinging and screens and entertainment. We live in a time where there are 450 scripted television shows, and a lot of them are really good. And that's before we get through the endless TikToks and Reels and the short-form scrolling that dominates so much of our time. That's before we get to the books we want to read. The ability to master where we point our attention, inwardly and outwardly, is going to be game-changing. I'm in the middle of reading this really great book called Amusing Ourselves to Death by Neil Postman. And this book was written in 1985, 41 years ago. And it was about how our over-reliance on technology and our constant consumption of media is going to be the death knell for us. See, what Postman did in this book was he was comparing 1984 by George Orwell with Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, and saying that as many people fear an Orwellian future of authoritarianism, it's really Huxley's version of the future, where we're just so entertained and satiated that we're kind of lulled into a certain passivity that is dangerous, that is more likely to be our fate. And the crazy thing is he wrote this 41 years ago, pre-internet, pre-social media, pre-ESPN. Like, he wrote this in a very different time, and yet Postman was able to look toward the future and see danger. So here we sit in 2026, and your ability to control your attention, to control where you focus and what gets your time, space, and energy is going to be critical for you. For so many people, living with anxiety and living with frustration, living just angry. When I'm coaching, I have to ask, is this worth your time and attention? Is this the thing that really should take up this much mental space and capacity for you? And most often, the answer is no. And I know we live in a fallen and broken world, and we're frustrated by everything that we see outside, but you have to consider, what is your sphere of influence? See, I don't think that our brains were meant to take in this much, this often, unregulated. It is unhealthy for us. Learn to control your attention, and it is going to take you far. The second thing I would say is emotional range. Now, emotional range is good. This is the ability to not only tap into our emotions, but maintain enough control over them that we can still be functional and clear-headed. Can I be honest? This is a struggle for me. Where is it? The Next Conversation by Jefferson Fisher is such an important book for me, because I get emotional. Like, especially if I feel disrespected. If you disrespect me, or if you lie on me, if you try to slander me, that that inclination to defend myself kicks in. And then all of a sudden, I'm not operating from this clear and articulate place. In reality, I'm seeing red. I'm trying to defend myself, and my back's against the wall, and I'm fighting. But if we can learn to take a moment and breathe, to tap into that, it'll take us far. It'll take us so far. So the future belongs to those who can access that emotional range, who have the ability to experience discomfort without collapsing, for the me's of the world to experience disrespect without flying off the handle, to be clear-headed and to be rational and to be functional, to not react impulsively. How many decisions have we made out of anger or frustration that we look back and regretted? See, resilience is emotional flexibility. It's not emotional suppression. It's the ability to say that I will be bent, but not broken. When I think about short-term emotions and how they affect our decision-making, the 10-10-10 rule comes to mind. How would I feel about this 10 minutes from now? How will I feel about this 10 months from now? How will I feel about this 10 years from now? See, that tiny little rubric, that moment to pause before we react, could take us far. Could maybe save a lot of lives and a lot of jobs, and really, really go a long way for us. The third skill you need for your internal operating system is cognitive flexibility. This is the ability to update your thinking when you receive new information. It's not being so rigid and stuck in all that you know and thinking that's all that there is. Cognitive flexibility means you can hold competing thoughts and still function. It's recognizing that two things can be true. Your internal operating system needs that level of adaptability. Your internal operating system needs to not be so flexible and rigid. The fourth thing we need in our internal operating system is a stable identity. Do you know who you are? Apart from success, apart from accolades, apart from your job, apart from your family name, do you know you? Now, this is important, because so often we attach our identities and our self-esteem to things that can so easily be taken away from us. If your entire identity is wrapped up in your career, what happens when layoffs come? If your entire identity is wrapped up in being a parent, what happens if, God forbid, you lost a child? If it's in being a spouse, you lost your spouse. Or do you know you? Can you separate your performance from your self-worth? Can you separate your identity from outcomes or from climbing certain ladders? Because if your identity is entirely wrapped around what you do or what you have, the pressure becomes existential. You constantly have to maintain. You constantly have to keep going. What does peace look like? If I'm honest with you, I've spent the last 20 years trying to divest this idea of success being relinquished from monetary gain, and my identity and my worth not being based on how successful I am, which is based on how much I'm paid. It's hard in a world where there's bills, in a world where people can't buy homes, in a world where groceries are constantly rising, in a world where I'm raising kids. And yet I need to know who I am on an internal level, at my core, if I'm ever going to be successful, truly successful in this world. And I'm not talking monetarily successful, because people who don't know who they are, who are operating from a place of insecurity, it bleeds out of them. We know this. You've seen the person who gets a little bit of power and they don't know how to act because they don't know who they are internally. You've seen the person, especially the grown men, who when their egos are bruised or they are challenged, they don't know what to do and they start to rain down on everyone around them because they don't have a good sense of control on who they are. Your internal operating system needs you to have a stable identity. And you got to go figure out who that is and what that is for you. This video is a shorty today, and that's okay. This isn't therapy. This is performance architecture. This is about your ability to be stable in the midst of chaos. It is to know who you are. It is to be able to operate and function as you weather the storms of life. So the next time you're stuck looking at that to-do list and thinking, how am I going to get these things done? Consider your internal operating system. Remember who you are. Remember where your attention should be. Think about your emotional range. Hold that cognitive flexibility. Have a stable identity. It's those 4 pieces that are going to help guide you and orient you. But I know y'all watch these videos, you keep watching. I thank you for continuing to watch, but you watch them and you're like, CJ, I don't need any of that. I'm fine with the existential dread. This has gotten me this far. I'm gonna just keep checking the boxes off and I'm gonna run until I can't run anymore. You high capacity person. At some point we all run out of road. And I'd hate to see you run into a wall that you didn't need to run into because you never took the time to get your internal operating system together. You hear me, but are you listening? But why would you listen? Because who am I? What do I know? I'm just some guy from Brooklyn.